Okay. So first, some quick rules clarifications because I had time to actually look up shit. So when you do any sort of ranged attack in melee, it does give disadvantage even for spells. So just FYI.
Okay,
Uh,
and that's for.
yeah.
Is that for the target you're attacking even?
Um,
Because I
yeah, it
thought
is
it
for
was
the
just
it.
for.
Yeah, it is for the target you're attacking. It's just as long as you're within reach of somebody, you're considered in melee. Um, and the other thing is heavy armor only gives disadvantage on stealth checks, so it doesn't do it for things like dexterity saving throws. So Al Bundy can
Oh,
actually
that's interesting.
so Al Bundy can actually make dex saves without worrying about disadvantage.
Just don't ask me to stealth.
Yep. All right. Besides that, I
Why do you keep
guess
calling him Al Bundy?
because it amuses me. Because I keep making up stories about him about how he scored 4 touchdowns in a single game, and I
It's the
wanted
greatest sports event in history.
I really wanted him to be a cobbler.
I
All
do
right.
get another artisan's tool at 3, so
It could happen. All right, so you guys pretty much you guys had your first foray into adventure for a lot of you guys. Some of you guys have explored overland but have never been into underground before. And
That
for
would be me.
for Johnny, this is his first adventure, and from his experience, he could probably safely say that his father have left out some key crucial details in his stories that he told him. Maybe things like medkits. Um, you guys managed to find what's his face rather quickly, but then you also realize that this is like some sort of ancient structure, possibly civilization that's older than I don't know anything you guys know about, which definitely enticed a lot of you guys to kind of explore more and try to figure out what was in here. You found a lot of spider-related things, which freaked everyone out, and you guys had your first encounter with some sort of like undead sort of spider, which freaked even more of you guys out. You guys had brushes with death on about 3 separate occasions, and then you guys encountered what seemed to be a fortified position that had more of these spider people, which were very displeased when you decided they, disturb their webs and then blast their faces off with magic missiles. After that clash with them, they kind of want to stay away from you, and quite frankly, you guys are probably fine with staying away from them for the time being. After that, you guys kind of went back down, did a little bit more exploring. You guys have kind of explored kind of a decent amount of the place, and you could definitely say that this place is old, ancient, and has a lot of stuff that you've never really seen before. So new stuff for everybody. At the same time, this is also a whole lot of stuff that's right pretty close to farmland in the town itself, so that's some cause of concern. So after you've slayed that, I guess it's your second rape spider. You guys kind of headed back and decided to kind of just recuperate. You guys didn't have a complete brush with death, but Johnny did get hurt pretty badly, so you decided to cut your losses then. So right now you guys are in town again, and yeah, what do you guys wish to do?
I'd actually like to check out the temple, see if the priestess is back yet.
Okay. All right, so you go ahead and head towards the temple, pretty much the shrine of Sarenrae, which you visited before and actually gave a donation to. So
Right.
you do see a human woman staying there. She seems to be just kneeling before. That's the altar that you saw before. She looks to be in her probably her 30s, though it's kind of hard to see from behind. But she appears to be human and kind of dressed in a standard priestess garb. Despite how cheap the shrine is, her garb is pretty well kept and really kind of shows how a high-ranking priest should look like. Upon hearing the door open, she does kind of rise to her feet and turn and give a nod towards the little tiny gnome.
Okay, well, I'd like to go up and talk to her.
Okay. Um, Welcome to the Shrine of Samurai. From what I could tell, you're a traveler.
Yes, my name is Nazmer, ma'am.
All right. Oh, you were probably the one that gave the kind donation. Thank you.
Yes, that's correct, ma'am. I was just wondering, we've been exploring this set of ruins out in the distance, and we were wondering if you had any information on that. So possibly a little library here or anything.
Unfortunately, there's not really much to know about the standing stones, and honestly, I didn't do any exploring myself into that hole that seemed to be now there. But from what I've heard, just in passing, besides the fact your group has been returning rather heavily wounded, is the places are incredibly old, and I honestly don't have any real information. Most of my work's been in the surface, and that's probably going to be the same for a lot of people. A lot of people don't really delve into the underground, and besides, standard mining operations, and most definitely don't go into the Underdark, which may be some of the things you might be dealing with, for all we know.
Well, I'd certainly like to hope not, man. I was just hoping that I could receive your blessing before we venture out there again.
Yeah. She'll go ahead and kneel with you and kind of say a brief prayer of, protection, travel, and safety. Of course, it's not going to have any effect because bless doesn't last that long. But
Right.
but yeah, she'll give a blessing. If you like, I can see about trying to get some potions, but unfortunately, they're rather expensive, and most of the healing items I produce have been purchased by the leader of the Hunter's Lodge up north.
I understand, ma'am. How expensive are they exactly?
They're about 50 gold each for very basic healing potions.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I won't be able to afford that right now, but I thank you very much for your time.
Oh, no problem.
And then I'd like to kneel and, continue a little bit of meditation of my own.
All right. All right, what's the rest of you guys doing?
I'm just going over the notes that I took from the last dungeon.
Yeah, since you guys actually have like paper and ink and you guys kind of been marking traps and stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and say you guys have been making kind of a crude map, which kind of will justify the fact you guys can see this auto map here.
Sounds good.
So by all means, if you need me to, I can point out where there's like hallways that still continue. If you see any sort of hallway that ends in black, it probably can keep going further. It's probably a safe bet. I probably should figure out a way to change the color of Fog of War, or in the future, not use black walls. And if you look here, you'll notice that dicks are here.
Yes, dicks are there.
They're always anywhere.
But so far, anything you've encountered that's web-based, you've pretty much melted at the webs, and you've burned an entire nest, you slaughtered a lot of spider people, and yeah, I mean, there seems to be trouble in all directions, it seems like. There are a few locked doors. I believe this one here. There's the fancy door. There's the door that got stuck with webbing and stuff because you guys decided to seal the door once you guys kind of slaughtered a lot of them. I don't think there's any other locked doors you've encountered yet. So pretty much the locked doors you've encountered are in literally the first room.
Yeah. That's why I remember it anyway.
Yeah.
User disconnected from your channel.
Okay, well, I would like to go compare notes with Varys.
Okay.
Once I'm done meditating.
All right, no problem. You guys can gather and discuss how you please.
Yeah, probably a good idea for all of us to kind of group up and plan, or at least our initial expedition.
Yeah, I mean, just from your previous encounters with, each other and just the encounters in general, you're definitely, all of you guys are pretty green as far as dealing with adventuring, and especially in something as very complex as exploring some sort of ancient dungeon that has strangely functional traps.
Yeah, right. Well, let's confer in the kitchen then while I guess Johnny's out mucking the horse stables or something.
Right.
Or, doing other things with horses.
Banging them.
Oh, actually, one more thing. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Dustin, from now on, go ahead and assume the answer is yes. And just go ahead and roll a d20 every time you do a level 1 or higher spell. That'll just be easier on me.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you're looking forward to it, so
Wait, what?
It's just Perils of the Warp.
yeah.
It's just
Fuck
a
yeah,
potential
Perils.
really interesting.
The Wild Mage is very interesting because a lot of its mechanics are based off the GM's whim, which is kind of weird because I could just choose to never have a trigger, which is kind of lame.
Or
Yeah,
you
what's
could
the point,
choose to
though,
have
right?
it trigger every time I take advantage on something, basically.
Correct. Well,
If I force it.
yeah, that one I'll do on my discretion. But as far as like the random 5% chance, just feel free to roll every time you do a first level or higher spell.
All right, can do.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and continue.
All right, Varys, here's what I've gathered so far. So here we are in this ancient civilization. We have no knowledge of when this place was built, who built it, or anything. But I'm still not sure on whether or not we can assume that these people are the natives, especially these spider people. That's what really bothers me.
I don't care if they're natives or not. They have been very unfriendly with us so far. Even before we attacked them, the very first thing we ran in, there was one of these spider people, and it tried eating our face.
That's very true, and it's
But
not like
you
we
also
were...
did burn down their front door.
Before I did that, we saw one in the front room, and he tried eating the fighter's face.
Look, man. I read a lot of books in my time, and there was this place I heard about, Texas, right? And if you go through somebody's door, they have a right to blast your face. We're basically criminals. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Do you think they took that as an act of breaking and entering when we went down here?
Went down there and
if you
tried
want
speaking with them.
if you want, go ahead and make an insight check. I mean, they're definitely they don't seem to speak your language, but you can go ahead and try to get a general feel of how that encounter went.
Did I win?
You're pretty uncertain. You're I think you think they had faces before you hit them with magic missile.
I was talking about the one that got squished with the maul.
Oh right, that one you probably wouldn't get really much of an insight from, simply because it was that misty area.
Yeah, and that's what we're referring to, you know? I mean, he jumped us while we were there.
Right.
We even kind of thought we saw something. People called out trying to speak with him, and he jumped us and stabbed the cleric.
And honestly, it's not like we were showing hostile intent at the time.
So that's why I say they need to meet fireballs every chance that we get.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure what to make of it, because we really weren't planning on getting into a battle with the spider kind. Well, let's see. What else do we have here? Are there any other questions that are really outstanding here?
I really don't think I have any.
Actually, I just had another thought. On all those statues we saw down there, what do you make of those, Barris?
The
I
what
wasn't
down
really
here?
able to...
It was he's referring to the statues down here where you found that hidden switch. You did study them. Let's see, what was that room?
Oh, yeah.
The statues themselves were pretty eroded, but they had kind of like a thing about snakes and stuff. Well, they're definitely kind of very alien-like almost as far as like their appearance.
Yeah, I've taken good notes on everything, but we're going to have to go to a big city with an extensive library if we're going to
User
find
entered
answers
your
on any of this stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
I
the
agree,
statues
because-
had like snakes and tentacles that covered them, kind of like fur.
Yes, what bothers me about that is it really
Everything?
doesn't match up with
It should be
everything else that
everything.
we've seen down here. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. How everything else is spider related and these are just snakes. Well, I mean, theory time. The snakes came here before, and the spiders are here now. And maybe in a few hundred years, Satan himself will just plop down here.
I'd rather avoid that eventuality.
It'll cost you DLC.
I'll be dead. I don't care.
Guy will be very much alive.
Johnny, are you back?
Yep.
Okay.
Johnny!
So what they're doing right now is they've been discussing, like, kind of just the notes they've kind of gathered and information they've gathered about the dungeon in general.
Yeah, while you were out banging the horses or something.
Some of the topics were the hostility of the spider people, the fact there are spiders here, the statues seem to be more snake and tentacle like, and just stuff that they're trying to piece together.
Johnny is uselessly enthusiastic about everything. Where you guys go, "Oh yeah, this is my theory," and I'm just like, "Yeah, right on."
He's like right on medkits.
Man, Johnny. Johnny, give me a fist bump here, man.
Yeah, right on. Fist bump accepted.
Ah, my hand!
Oh, sorry. Oh, jeez.
My frail little mage hand.
Usually in another life, I have to hit your hand harder for this. Oh, jeez.
It's almost like I know you from another lifetime.
All right, gentlemen, I just have one further question. Why do you keep delving down here with me? I know why I'm going in, but why are you?
Mad loots, bro.
Mad research, bro.
I just kind of, Dad always made it sound really fun.
Is it because you like to hang out by dockside bars?
More like his mother did.
Do you like baseball, son?
No, I've been more of a football player. Did I ever tell you about that time I threw 4 touchdowns in one game?
What's a
It was
touchdown?
scored. You ruined it. It's scored, not throw.
Ah, jeez. I get so excited when I tell the story. Sometimes I mix things up like that.
Were you like the Aaron Rodgers of your time?
Don't say the name.
I would have given Dustin mad props if he said, "Man, there's doors open, yo."
BRB.
More like the Eli Manning of his time.
Shut up.
Oh, also you guys did, don't forget you guys did pick up a bunch of kind of unique items as well. Also speaking of unique items, Nazmer, your web shield is kind of not so solid anymore. It's like the resin that was kind of used to kind of keep it hard and keep it shaped kind of wore off, and now it's kind of just webby goop.
Okay, well, I'd like to throw that on the table then, and let's all take a look at it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, essentially it's just like ordinary spider webs, but there seems to be it's now just residue that seem to be kind of used to harden it into practically a solid weapon or shield.
Okay, well, I'd like to check that out, see what I can, surmise from all of the resin. Like, what is this stuff made out of?
Okay, you can go ahead and do knowledge nature.
Oh, that's a nature roll? Okay.
Yeah, it's nature, because this is all natural stuff.
Well,
I mean, the spider web itself is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it could possibly be coming from the freaking those humanoid spiders, for all you know, but you don't really know because you haven't really studied any of them. But I mean, with your encounter with the web birds and their ability to kind of make a nest, you can kind of assume that they probably have some sort of similar ability, or they might have or just have some sort of access to webs. As for the resin itself, you're not really sure. It's not something you see really much in the surface, because quite frankly, no one really does. Any sort of stuff that involves like spider silk and stuff was usually just cloth, if anything.
Right.
So something like where they actually use it as hardened weapons and blades, it's something that's just not something you see on the surface.
well, Varus, can you make anything else out of this? Like, all right, do you have any more insight into something like this? Because I really have no idea what this resin is that was holding this together originally. I mean, we could just move on.
It's up to you guys.
I'm gonna poke the webbing uselessly.
It's somewhat sticky, but other than that, it's pretty much goop. It's not even useful as like webbing anymore because it's kind of just got that weird decayed resin on it.
Right, which is strange because I mean, before it was actually hard, a hard material,
Right.
easily as effective as a wooden shield.
Yep. And you've had it for about 3 days, give or take, and
Yep.
that's about as long as it lasted until it's now pretty much useless.
Daz, the important part of this webbing is that I'm gonna need you to clean it off the table when we leave today. Before we leave, you got to take care of this.
Well, it's your house. I understand. I've got it.
As for the spider people, they're relatively small. They're definitely shorter than humans, and probably about the size of a gnome, maybe a bit taller. Kind of about the similar size of goblins.
Oh, frightening.
Yeah. So that's why you probably were able to use the shield easily enough. So.
Makes sense. I mean, that's scary though. I'm picturing those fucking pygmies from the Mummy movie. Except
Maybe
spider faces.
not that tiny, but yes.
So, like, what type of spiders are we talking about here? Like, tarantulas, camel spiders?
It's
Fucking-
kind of hard to tell. I mean, really the things that are kind of off about them. I mean, you couldn't really tell with the younger one that attacked you. But the one that the guards you are fighting seem to have like the extra arms, like an extra set of arms, and then they kind of have like weird, just essentially mandibles and stuff. So it's kind of, you're not really able to kind of tell a specific species of spider.
Oh, I'm just asking out of character. Like, what do they look like?
It's well, I mean, let's see, because I mean, all I have is the description. The one that you encountered first, let's see, small humanoids possess four-jointed arms that allow for inhuman movement. Their faces are human, although they have multifaceted eyes and mandibles protruding from their mouths. They have long, stringy black hair, kind of similar to like a spider almost. And it grows out of their back, kind of like a mane of a horse. That's pretty much the same thing as
Of a horse.
all of them. Yeah. Well, it just means that their hair kind of grows out of their skull, but also like down the back of their neck and back.
Ugh.
So yeah, they definitely have this spider sort of part. It's pretty noticeable. As far as their communication, they seem to have a lot of clicks and chirps and just hissing and stuff like that, very similar to spiders. As far as any other languages they might know, you're not entirely certain, assuming they even have any.
Weird.
Yep.
Can I investigate it?
Yeah, go ahead and invest. Actually, I think, well, let's see what skill would fall under that. You can do knowledge nature. You can do nature. You can also go ahead and, yeah, you can do nature. That's probably the best bet. You can definitely tell it's not magical.
Man, I suck today at all my investigations.
Okay. So with that basic nature roll, just from your general experience reading books and all that stuff, you've maybe heard of some Underdark races kind of using hardened web, and it's usually using some sort of oil or resin to kind of make it so it's no longer just a soft material, and that's how they make their weapons and armor. But from what you've kind of read about it, there's not really too much information, but you do know it's kind of like a temporary thing. It'll eventually wear off unless you keep applying it. And if you don't, it becomes goop, like what's on the table right now.
All right.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to do while Nasper's away, or are you guys ready to dive into the dungeons again, or flee?
Who's ready to get fucked?
Well, I'm always ready to get fucked. I'm down to fuck constantly.
I'm
That's
down
why-
to fuck, not always to get fucked.
That's why we call him Johnny DTF Big Guy. Man, just think about all the doors we can open.
You guys have quite a bit of doors. You guys do have 2 locked doors in the first room that you still haven't really done much with. But other than that, everything else has been open.
We did something with that one. It hasn't really moved.
Yeah, you
There was a
you took a
lot.
look at it. It had the ornate dragon stuff on it, and there was like that the mist that's been obscuring the room has been coming out the nostrils of its the dragon
Yeah.
head.
Yep, I remember that. I took notes. And then this one's locked.
It's now it's pretty much stuck rather than locked, simply because that makes more sense. But it seems like they kind of just put a bunch of webbing on the door to kind of keep it from opening.
Nice.
So since it's been 3 days, maybe the door will open again.
Yeah, but if they reapply
Well, it hasn't been
the
3. It's been
oil
3
to
days
it-
since you started like exploring, going into these
Yeah.
caverns. So it's only been about a day or so.
And if you reapply
right.
the oil, it keeps it hard.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they just forgot to reapply it.
Nah, man.
Yeah, let's just go right back in there. It went so well the first time. I'm
Yeah,
But
ready
but
there's
to
just
run
think-
16
too.
less.
Yeah. Just think, we carved and burned the shit out of those guys.
We sure
Hey,
did,
so,
and then their friends noticed.
So how far away is the nearest city,
Um,
like major city?
It's a few days travel at least. And it's not, and just off the top of my head, because I haven't really expanded the map that far, it's not going to be any sort of big cities where you can get any sort of fancy libraries or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I can just assume that it's too far to, leave this danger here for the populace to deal with. So I think our only option is to actually delve back in and make sure that the major threats are neutralized before we go, investigate further in a library.
Agreed. We might be able to go to the. I no longer remember his name. What is it? Might be able to go to Garrett and see if does he have anybody stationed out by the stones at all?
No, not yet. I mean, you guys only talked to him after reporting in about what's his name's death.
Yeah, I think we should go talk to him before we hit up the cave one more time.
Okay, you easily find him somewhere in town.
Oh shit. Okay. I didn't think it would be that fast.
Yeah, well, no, this entire session will be the quest to find Garrett.
Finally, we get to the good stuff.
Why didn't we just split up?
Finally, use that survival skill. All right, then I'll just approach Garrett and explain that we're gonna go back into the cave again. We're gonna try to figure out what's going on, get some answers, but we
Alright.
might.
The townspeople have definitely been very concerned since every time you've entered and left, you guys have usually had someone in critical condition almost every time. So if you could try to not look so haggard when you come out, that'll probably reduce the panic a little bit.
Just tell them we're at that weekend crazy sex party.
But it's not the weekend.
It's always the weekend for somebody.
I'm gonna nudge
Alright, no.
Varys and be like, "Can you add covered wagon to notes? Could you write that down so I can remember that?"
Can
Well, I'd like to talk to
Can you not
Garrett
read?
about the civilization that we've seen in there.
All right. So you guys encountered more spiders, essentially.
Well, here's the thing. It's not just spiders. They're sentient. We think we found a new race, like just a civilization living here, and we aren't sure how they feel about us. We're almost certain that they're hostile toward us.
Well,
what day did that happen?
how was your first encounter with them? I guess.
Not good, sir. Not good at all.
I'll try to station a couple of guards on the entrance. They're not gonna go into that cave, but if anything tries to come out, they'll be able to at least see it coming.
Yeah.
Right.
If you've
One
essentially
thing.
poked a nest, I guess we'll have to be ready for whatever repercussions that may have caused.
We didn't.
I'd say it
That's
would
what
be
gives
more
you that-
important. It would be more important to, instead of actually try to set up a defense around it, to set up a runner so that somebody can come back and warn the town easily if something horrible does happen.
It's all right. That's why I'm only putting 2 guards there. So,
Okay. Thank you, sir.
yep.
Are they wearing red shirts?
No, they're actually wearing. Well, actually, yes, they are wearing red shirts because it makes them go faster.
Ah,